crafters, it's Cynthia for Kat Scrappiness, and today I wanted to make a fun shaker card, and so I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how I do that. So I really wanted to have a star as my kind of shaker element, and so I found this star image on my Silhouette design studio, and I just went ahead and cut it out in yellow. And I did resize it so that I knew it would fit my card. Then I also cut a second one, this time in white cardstock, and I cut the center out of it so that I essentially was creating a frame. So those two pieces are going to come together to make the shaker. So I'm using the Kat Beautiful Breezy Summer sequins mix. And this is such a pretty mix with that lovely yellow and some beautiful soft blue and little white iridescent, and then some fun shaped iridescent sequins. And then also in here are little white, well, iridescent bugle beads. And I love having beads mixed in with sequins because they make such a nice little satisfying rattle in your shaker, and they kind of help keep everything moving. So now I am going to take some of this very thin 1/8 inch double-sided tape, and I'm just going to go ahead and run this along the back side of that little white star frame. And this tape is nice because you can just tear it off as you're using it. But basically, whenever you're making a shaker, you just want to make sure that all the elements, all the edges of your layers are well sealed, because you definitely want to have as much strength in your shaker as you can, and you definitely don't want to be losing little pieces out of it. So definitely want to make sure that you have a nice strong adhesive. You can use any kind that you'd like. I like using a dry adhesive like this tape when I'm using acetate. So here is my piece of acetate, and I'm just going to very carefully lay it down right on the back side and into that tape, and then I'm going to definitely run my finger along all the edges to create a perfect seal. So now I'm just going to take my scissors and carefully trim away any excess acetate. And it's funny, I have the world's biggest box of acetate sheets, so I will never run out. But anyway, here is the star, and you can see that now it's a nice little window. And for the lift for my shaker element, I am using some of this foam tape. And again, I'm just going to want to use thin pieces, so I'm going to just go ahead and individually cut thin little pieces, and I'm just going to put them along the edge of the frame again. And I definitely want to make sure that it's thinner than the width of the frame, because I don't want it to be seen once my card is put together. So you don't have to be perfect, but you'll see here I have those two edges of the foam tape meeting. And that is important because the things inside the shaker, again, I don't want to have anything escape. So as long as my foam tape touches itself on those ends like that, then I know I'm getting a proper seal. So now I'm going to go ahead and just put a really nice amount of my sequins on the inside of my shaker. And I'm just kind of laying it out. I don't want to have it be too thick in some spots. I don't want to create a traffic jam, if you will, inside my shaker. I definitely want things to be loose so that they can move around. And you'll just be able to tell, the more shakers you make, the more you'll realize just how much you can put in there. And then another thing, you can also, if you'd like to, double up the foam tape. So just put a second layer on top of the first, and then your shaker will be thicker and you can stuff more fun things inside of it. So now I am just going to take that yellow star, which is the back piece, and I'm going to, as carefully as I possibly can, I'm just going to lay it right down on top of that frame piece. And then again, I'm going to run my finger very carefully right along the edge and create a perfect seal. And there is the cute little star shaker. So cute. And that's kind of like how I like to make my shakers. I like to have a separate element that I can just tack down to the top of my project. So now I have a piece here of cardstock, and I'm using the Kat Scrappiness Swatches stamp set. And I'm taking the little solid star from the set, and I've got a real soft yellow ink here, and I'm just very randomly going to be stamping across this little panel. And this panel has been cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And it's funny, I want to make patterns. It's very hard for me to just be random, so I'm trying. So now I'm taking kind of a little bit brighter yellow and just adding more stars. And I'm not caring if they overlap a little bit. As a matter of fact, I kind of want some of them to overlap. So I'm just letting them fall where they may. And then the third color I'm going to use is a pretty little soft blue ink. And I just looked in my collection of inks and picked out colors that I felt best matched the sequins mix. All right, so once that's all been stamped, I'm running my anti-static tool over the back, and then in my collection of stamps, I found this little solid circle because I just wanted to have some small shape to kind of fill up some of that leftover white area. And I know Lawn Fawn is wonderful for this type of thing because in their stamp sets, they always have extra little bits and bobs, and so you can always find a nice petite shape stamp in your Lawn Fawn sets and others too. But I'm just randomly scattering some little dots all over the place. Now I'm taking some silver embossing powder and just kind of doing an all over sprinkle, and then I'll come back in and hit all the spots again that were missed the first time around. And now if I have little stray flecks, I'm just going to whisk it away with this nice fluffy brush. And here I am very quickly melting all the silver, but look how pretty that is. Just that little bit of silver shine is so much fun with all those stars. Now my card base is just an A2 side folding card base, and I've already put down a panel of this light blue, which is just 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card base. And then again, that star panel is just 1/8 of an inch down from the blue in size. And I'm just going to go ahead and put that the best I can evenly down on the card base. And then here comes my little shaker star. And I'm just going to again use some strong double-sided tape because I really want to make sure that my shaker stays in place, and I want the recipient of the card to definitely shake it. So I want it to stand up to that kind of handling. So a good strong tape is the best option. And now I'm just going to set this down, and I'm kind of you know, I want it to be a little off center, a little bit turned. You know, I'm not looking for perfection. I want it to kind of have just a fun, whimsical feel to it. So just going to go ahead and make sure I have the best adhesion there. And there we go. I just think that is the cutest thing ever. Now for a sentiment, I'm using the Everyday Brushstroke stamp set from Kat, and I'm going to use the Congratulations out of there. And I pulled some more of the yellow cardstock, the same that I used for the underside of the star. And I'm treating the surface, and then I'm going to use my Versamark ink and just go ahead and stamp that simple sentiment right in the center of that little banner. And that banner is a tiny sneak preview, so I won't say anything more about it now, but you will see that banner die again. And of course, using my silver embossing powder. And you can see my embossing powder is a little bit chunky, and that's just because it's I've had it for years, and it's kind of sat in the jar and settled. But it works just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So now I am going to melt that, hopefully without burning my fingertips. All right. And of course, this is the same silver I used for the little dots on the background panel. And I'm going to add a little foam tape on each end because this is going to straddle that shaker element, and so it also needed to be lifted so it matched with the star. So I'm just laying that down. All right, and that is my finished shaker card. I think this one turned out really cute, and I wanted to just show you that there are multiple ways to use that swatches stamp set. You don't have to use the images just for swatching colors. You can definitely incorporate them into card making and scrapbooking and all kinds of projects. And another thing is the beautiful sequins mixes. Kat has a whole bunch of gorgeous sequins mixes in her shop. And this fun summer, what was this one called? Breezy Summer, excuse me. That mix inspired this entire look. So I really had a lot of fun using it. So be sure to go to Kat's shop where you'll find both of these stamp sets as well as the sequins mixes and other things that you can use. So I really hope that you give something like this a try and have a lot of fun crafting. So I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.